Hey everyone, hope y'all doing well, man. It's Tuesday morning. Had a great day yesterday. Hope y'all did too. Had a good weekend, all that. Got a lot to talk about, y'all. Man, got a whole lot to talk about. I doubt I'll get any footage, mainly because I don't have a tripod, that is working order. I mean, those things get beat up pretty good, and I need to order a couple more. I need to find some very sturdy tripods, because the ones that I've had, that I've been using, they tend to get tore up within a few weeks. They just get beat up pretty good, and all that kind of thing. But either way, I doubt I get any footage. It also takes away, and you guys that do this know this, it takes away from your focus. Focus on getting jobs done, all that kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't mind doing the footage, but I won't be doing any today, I don't think, unless I'm able to set the camera up a certain kind of way and show you some stuff, that kind of thing. But yeah, y'all got an interesting topic, by the way, and I'll probably actually do more of the discussion on this topic in the next clip when we get done. I'm on my way to pick up JR now and then on to the gas station. But yeah, we're going to talk about partnerships and lawn care. I'll tell you how I thought about, mentioning this topic, but I think it's an interesting topic just to think about and talk about. And I'm curious, any of you guys that, have experienced it or maybe doing it or have heard of success stories or not so successful stories involving partnerships and lawn care. It's just something we all need to think about, especially if you're thinking about getting into lawn care. Maybe you're looking at, going in with a friend or a buddy and doing the thing together, so to speak. So yeah, I think it could be useful information for sure, especially if you guys in the comments can chime in and let people know if they're viewing the video and checking out the comments. But anyway, hey, listen, gotta give my guy Doc O'Shane over there at DLT a big shout out. Gave me a shout out yesterday, and we did have a very long conversation Sunday night. Let me say, this is definitely an eye-opener for sure. I was very close to doing a video because I told him this. I mean, I'm very upfront and honest with people. I was pretty upset, not necessarily with him, but just the fact that I haven't heard from him in my videos in several months, and I was just curious as to why that was. Because when when I first started doing YouTube, and I made the video talking about him and how proud I was of him, and the changes that he made, the positive changes he made. He was commenting almost every video, and supporting me, all that kind of stuff. Well, I hadn't went a long time without hearing from him. That kind of upset me a little bit. So I thought about posting a video talking about that. Not necessarily a positive one either, but one thing I want to mention, guys, I thought about it. I had it ready to go, and I got to think I need to call his buddy B&H, and my buddy too, guy in the comments that I've gotten to know, and we talk on the phone, on occasion, that kind of thing. Super nice guy. I got to give him a shout out. Really, really good guy. He's been going through some stuff, former veteran. He struggles with some things. I won't get into all that, but super, super good guy. I really enjoyed talking to him. But yeah, I thought I needed to call Ben because he knows Doc better than I do, and just ask him what he thought. And he let me in on some things when it comes to Doc and some things that he was going through. And Doc did the same when we had our conversation Sunday night. And hey, listen, he's going through a lot. He's going through a lot of hurt, especially within the YouTube community, so to speak, or certain companies that haven't done them right. So I understand. He's mentioned that he's not going to be doing YouTube, and I kind of scoffed at that idea because he's mentioned it before. But I'm pretty sure he's not going to be doing it at the end of the year. He mentioned doing one last video where he's going to let it all out, and I don't blame him. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, Doc, you need to go ahead and put that on the YouTube schedule if you can do that far in advance now. But yeah, definitely be interested to see that when it comes to that time. But yeah, he's not going to be doing it. I just got a feeling, he's pretty fed up, and I don't blame him one bit. He definitely opened my eyes. But hey, listen, I want to say this. If you're ever feeling upset with someone, or you're curious about something, or wonder why someone hasn't talk to you in a while, just go to that person, or do what I did and go to, you know, a particular individual's friend or family member or whatever, and just find out what's going on, maybe, or you know what I mean? Like, don't just assume things and be hurt when you really don't know the whole story, so to speak. So I'm gonna say that. Yeah, go to the source. Yeah, before you think about posting anything that maybe or saying or talking about someone negatively that makes sense. I was thinking about, like I said, doing a video and posting it on YouTube. I'm trying not to be negative about things, you know what I mean? And I don't think I do very often. I'm trying to be a positive force in YouTube and the community, and not get into any of these kind of beefs with anybody or anything like that. I just want us all, like Irvin's mentioned before, and I have too, we all need to get along and use this platform to learn and to help one another. So that's what I want to do. So if you're ever feeling a certain kind of way about someone, just go to them, just talk to them. You know, don't spread any rumors about them or assume things that you don't know. And I didn't know exactly what was going on with Doc until Ben told me. And once I found out what he told me, yeah, obviously I was like, I'm not going to do the video, you know, because he's hurt. He's going through some tough times right now, and he's, like I said, he's hurt and distraught, and I don't want to add to that. So, yeah, I decided not to do it. After the conversation with Ben and the awesome conversation I had with Doc, man, I'm not going to get into the conversation a whole lot, but he really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I appreciate that. He gave me a lot of really good advice. A very wise man, you know, for sure. Very good man. And I'm proud of him for his evolving, you know, with his Christian faith. And, you know, hey, I support him, whether he's talking politics or whatever it may be, you know. You know, he's going to keep it real with you. He's going to say what's on his mind. And you got to respect that. You got to appreciate that. Someone that's, you know, willing to speak their mind, right? And not care what people think, especially when it's true, you know, that kind of thing. But either way, yeah, y'all, I just thought I'd mention that. I appreciate him giving the shout out to the small channels, like myself and Irvin. You know, the guys over at Southern Lawn Care, I think is the name of the channel. They just started doing the videos again. That's where I got the topic from, because they're actually participating in a partnership themselves. I was asking them in a comment, and I assume they were, but yeah, they're in a 50-50 partnership. And I find it an interesting topic, like I said before. So what we'll do, I'm going to have a really good day today, get a lot of work done. Again, I doubt I'll get any footage, and we'll talk about a partnership in lawn care. You know, thanks to those guys for giving me the idea to talk about it. But yeah, we'll circle back. I'll let you know how the day went, and we'll chat. Talk to you later. Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Let's drop JR off. We finished up at the gas station last. You know, I'm always trying to coordinate and schedule, you know, correctly if I can, because the better you can schedule and plan, obviously the more money you're going to make. So that's what I'm always trying to do. And when you have a lot of experience like I do, you know, you should be good at it at this point. So I feel like I'm pretty good doing that. I feel like we had a really good day overall. We mowed several. I did one yard where we mowed, sprayed, and fertilized it all in one trip. Then I had another one where we mowed and sprayed, and I fertilized some others as well. So yeah, I got a little bit of everything done, y'all. And hey, this truck gives me that capability. So I really love this truck for sure. But anyway, hey, listen, y'all, let's get into it. Let's talk about, you know, partnerships. And I'm really curious what you guys know and what you've heard. I've actually experienced partnerships. And by the way, this comes from a video when I mentioned the comment. I assume these guys are partners over, guys over at Southern Lawn Care. I called them, I was just being funny, Batman and Robin, because I can't remember guys' names, and they just started back up. So I think they've told me a time or two. I just can't remember. It takes me a little while to remember guys' names. So I was just kidding around. I was like, I'll just refer to you as Batman and Robin, but seem like really good guys, really knowledgeable. Got a few other video topics I would like to do just from hearing some of the videos they did. So yeah, get a chance, go check them out. Like Doc was saying, you know, let's support the smaller channels, and I definitely like their videos. Seem like good guys, but they are in a partnership. Now I don't know of many partnerships. I know I tried it when I was young, just starting out, mowing. I guess I was 17, and me and my buddy Alan, one of my good friends from back home, North Alabama, we tried it, and needless to say, it didn't work. Didn't work long term. It lasted maybe, about 6 weeks. We just didn't really do a good job of talking it out and figuring things out, before we started. So obviously, if you don't do that, and obviously we were 17 years old, we were young and didn't really know a whole lot. So that's not a recipe for success, right? So that would be my thinking. As those guys over there at Southern, they did a lot of talking. Had a lot of discussions about how things are going to work, how they're going to divvy up the money, and who's going to provide what, and that kind of thing. That's one thing that we did. Is I think I basically had all the accounts and some equipment, and he provided the truck and the trailer, I believe, and a mower. So that was how we did it back then, back in 2002, I think is when it was. But again, it didn't work. We were young and didn't, hash things out correctly. Otherwise, it might have worked. But anyway, needless to say, it didn't work. I do know of some guys in my area from back home. Again, I think they actually operate out of Huntsville, Alabama. They're a few years older than I was. I think they were seniors when I was a freshman in high school. And they've done really well. And they've got a partnership. Forget the name of the company. Robinson and Waldrop, I actually think is the name of the company. And two decent guys and have done well. But yeah, I mean, they got a couple crews. I think they do landscaping and mowing, so they've obviously been able to grow the business. With a bunch, a good bit of employees. Not really sure how big their business is in terms of the number of employees, but I know they've done well. But anyway, I'm at 1 second, guys. At a 4-way stop. But yeah, I'd be curious of those guys. Hopefully they'll see my video and they can chime in. Maybe let us know some of the details in terms of their partnership, what they talked about, how they made it to where it's a 50-50 split. I believe that's what he said is, they're 50-50 partners. I'm assuming obviously that's the profit, right? So I would think early on, I know you could make pretty good, especially if you're doing, a decent amount of volume, but I don't know if I like the idea of splitting the money 50-50, so I imagine they're going to try to really grow and probably add some employees. If they can do that, I imagine they'll be very successful. And I'm not saying they're not successful now. I'm sure they're doing pretty well. I think they're just now first year full time, but I'd be curious how things are progressing there. And if they're actually having any kind of issues, not sure how they went about doing things and figuring things out to where it'd be fair and equitable, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'd be curious about that. It's interesting. Y'all let me know any stories, or if you guys have known of any partnerships that went south or didn't work, or partnerships that went well, right? That went well. So be curious, maybe they can do some more videos talking about that, because I think especially if it's going to make more sense for you to do a partnership starting out than if you're established. Now I did actually, I say that I actually was in talks with a buddy of mine in Auburn, in this area, a couple of years ago. We had a few years ago, say 4 or 5 years ago, we had mentioned it in talking, that maybe we would combine companies and be 50-50 partners, that kind of thing, because our business is pretty similar in terms of the amount of customers and revenue being generated, all that kind of thing, and what we bring into it with the trucks and equipment. So we thought about it, but we decided that it'd just be better off we just stayed separate. And the more I thought about it, kind of glad I did. You just never know. I guess it'd just make it complex. There'd be a lot of complexities involved if you're bringing businesses together and being a 50-50 partner. So yeah, needless to say, we didn't do that, but we did actually talk about it. But my point is, I think it'd make more sense for you if you were going to do that, do like the guys did over at Southern, do it early on. Just make sure you got everything hashed out and figured out in terms of expectations and all that. I mean, you never want to get in a situation where you feel like one person's working a lot harder than the other, you know, that kind of thing. So it needs to be fair and equitable in terms of the amount of work being done. I'm sure those guys, I'm sure it's that way with them, you know. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Seemed like there was something else I was gonna say in terms of the partnership. Yeah, you just want to make sure you structure it to where the other isn't getting their feelings hurt, or if you're 50-50, you know, the other isn't bringing less or more to the table, so to speak. It just needs to be equitable and fair, right? I mean, that's the only way I could see it working. And then at least you would know more than likely that you're going to have two guys that are equally invested in the business and seeing it grow and seeing it succeed. And you could also, and I believe they do 2 trucks. I'm not sure if they're doing them right now. I know they were last year at one time, or they were talking about doing 2 trucks. So at least you would know you'd have that ability to have a guy, I would assume so, that could go out in another truck, right? So that'd be good, but again, you're having to split the profit 50-50. So yeah, there's that, right? So I don't know, y'all let me know what you think, y'all. I mean, I think it's interesting to watch those guys, knowing they are in a partnership and just seeing how things go over the years and seeing, you know, if they can make it work without having any kind of issues. But anyway, yeah, I wish those guys nothing but the best. Seem like really good guys, for sure. And hey, really smart. I really enjoy listening to some of their videos. So if you haven't checked them out yet, go check them out. I'll see if I can, you know, put the name in the video. I don't really have the greatest software yet. That's something I talked about. But anyway, yeah, I need to, invest in some better software in terms of putting the videos together and being able to do some of those effects that, you know, other guys do, that kind of thing. But yeah, enough of that. Let me know in the comments about partnership. I want to continue the discussion. You know, again, I appreciate my man Doc for mentioning me yesterday in the video. Give me a little shout out. Like I said, he really opened my eyes there. A lot of things. I don't want to get into them. Don't make this clip too long. But we talked about, you know, how I do things and some things that I mentioned. And I'm curious, one thing I'm curious about, guys, in terms of numbers. Does it bother y'all for me to mention numbers? I mean, I would assume that most people would like hearing about numbers. I mean, I actually do. You know what I mean? I like hearing what other people are making. Because frankly, guys, if someone's making more than me, I want to figure out what it is that they're doing, you know, to make good money, right? Because at the end of the day, y'all, I mean, listen, lawn business, any kind of business, you know, numbers go hand in hand, right? So, I don't know. I mean, I don't ever want to come across as bragging or, you know, or cocky or arrogant or anything like that, you know, on days that we do really well and I'm, you know, talk about some really good numbers, at least for my size businesses that I made, you know. But I feel like a lot of you guys are probably curious. Now, one thing I mentioned in the doc, talking about numbers, you know, I never want young guys or anybody starting out to hear and see the kind of numbers that I'm making, and that ends up discouraging them if they're not able to do similar, right? Obviously, I've been doing this a long time, so I mean, I should be doing pretty well. You know, but yeah, I mean, I think guys may get discouraged if maybe they're not progressing as quickly and thinking, you know, they should be making more money sooner, that kind of thing. So I never want to discourage anybody that's new in the game, that kind of thing. But I think we're all interested in numbers and figuring out ways if maybe your numbers aren't as good as mine or vice versa. Or if my numbers aren't as good as yours, you know, I'd like to know how you do things so, you know, I can improve those numbers, right? I can make more money and do better in business. So yeah, I would think most of y'all like it, but I never want to come across as being arrogant or cocky when I mention those numbers, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to, like I said, provide good content that you guys will like to hear about. Because I know a lot of people are kind of funny about mentioning numbers. Maybe I should be the same way, but yeah, I am an open book. I want to be very transparent, and I feel like you guys will benefit not only just knowing and obviously I talk about what we did in terms of when I have these really good days, when I'm mowing, fertilizing, all the other stuff, maybe 2 trucks, all that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's important for me, right? Really, and I think it's important for you guys, to know and figure out ways maybe you can improve your numbers, right? And vice versa, same for me. But yeah, like again, I never want to come across as being cocky or arrogant, or I'm always a big believer. I've always been a big believer in humility. So if that really bothers y'all, would y'all let me know? Or do y'all like hearing about numbers? You know what I mean? So curious in the comments, you guys, let me know if you enjoy hearing about the numbers and me mentioning those numbers, or if you think I should just avoid talking about it altogether, right? So yeah, just curious about that. Either way, listen guys, I don't want this video to get too long. Appreciate every single one of you, regardless of who you are, any past beefs you may have had with anybody else. I welcome all the people that want to comment as long as it's helpful and constructive. I don't mind criticism as long as it's constructive, but try not to cross the line. I'm not a fan of those people. Like my man Doc mentioned before, I actually listened to this video today, and he had that story talking about the people in the comments, that kind of thing. But anyway, hey, listen, y'all, enough of that. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate all the small channels out there, like Doc mentioned before. I forgot to mention one thing in the first clip this morning that Doc had mentioned, talking about bigger channels. We'll talk about that later. I think it's long enough. Hopefully it's helpful. Let me know in the comments about partnership, and if you like hearing about numbers. God bless you guys. Talk to you later.